People with disabilities are disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. I spoke with some people in Bend to learn how the mask mandate has made daily life even more difficult.
It just really can be frustrating and challenging.
Masks are meant to act as a barrier against COVID-19. But for Dr. Kelly Anderson and many others like her, it also means yet another barrier to communication. Dr. Anderson, an audiologist in Bend, was born deaf and uses bilateral cochlear implants.
It wasn't really until we got out and really started communicating with other people and seeing that the masks really do affect understanding what people are saying, then it really kind of became a real thing.
The mask mandate brings up disadvantages in American Sign Language, a language that not only relies on hand signals, but also on facial cues. That means people who are deaf or hard of hearing have to try even harder to understand people speaking through a mask.
So by the end of the day, oftentimes I am just ready to just take off my implant.
Sometimes her children, who both know ASL, step in to interpret.
I'll definitely sign words to her sometimes, or just mouth them. Sometimes it'll be in a situation where I can easily just take my mask off for a little bit. It's way easier for her to read my lips.
For Milam O'Shin, who identifies as hard of hearing and says he's not fluent in ASL, the problem is less about being able to see and more about being able to hear.
Especially going to the grocery store or loud places, and it was Momo between, and I was like, huh? And I was like, no, 20, huh? Okay, and then I go, hi, it's $20.50, and I catch on to what they're saying. The hearing aids are not perfect because we have no directional hearing. Sound does not go through the mask very well.
O'Shin and Dr. Anderson are not alone. According to the CDC, 25.6% of Oregonians reported having some type of disability. 6.3% of them reported being deaf or hard of hearing. So do you feel like the clear shields or, something that isn't directly over your mouth, do you feel like those are a little more helpful?
Yeah, it's helpful, but there's still also those plexiglass in a way. Sound doesn't carry as well.
Video calls like Zoom do not necessarily make communication any easier.
No, it makes it much more difficult. There's a lot of echo in my house.
Understanding when there's many people who are speaking and many different discussions, that's when it could be really challenging to understand.
Dr. Anderson and O'Shin say they hope people can be more mindful and patient with people who have hearing disabilities because they say they too, like the rest of us, are trying to adapt to a world changed by COVID-19. In Bend, Rhea Panella, News Channel 21. And if you're deaf or hard of hearing, there are some voice-to-text resources available. For those details, visit the online version of this story at ktvz.com.